Hey, Brian from Zombie Guitar here. Here in this lesson, I just wanted to give a quick little tip that you could take and apply to two guitar players that are both soloing at the same time. And when they do this, it kind of forms a harmony together that I can only describe as Allman Brothers like. So I don't know if this is necessarily something that the Allman Brothers did, but I kind of discovered this little trick, if you want to call it a trick. I kind of discovered this the other day. And as soon as I started doing it, I thought to myself, that sounds like the Allman Brothers. So maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe that's what was going on in their minds when they would break off into their 20-minute long jam sessions. Two guitar players both soloing at the same time, forming some sort of beautiful Allman Brothers-esque harmony. Okay, so that's what this lesson is about. So I'm going to be doing this demonstration using my looper pedal here, and that's going to act as my second lead guitar player. If you have a friend that you want to try this out with and you want to try this out live, even better. But the whole idea here is lead guitar player number 1 is going to be playing the diatonic scale. Lead guitar player number 2 is going to be playing the pentatonic scale. All right, so the pentatonic scale is just 5 of the 7 notes of the full diatonic scale. So everything that we're going to be playing here is all going to be in key. But if guitar player number 1 is improvising and they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm using the full diatonic scale here, and the guitar player number 2 is improvising and they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm only going to use the pentatonic scale here. If they both improvise in that manner, together it forms this type of harmony that I can only describe as Allman Brothers like. All right, so my loop that I have laid down here is just a C major chord to an F major chord, and that sounds like this. All right, so 2 major chords that put you in the key of C major. It's a very happy type of sound, very common to the Allman Brothers. They would just solo over a 2-chord chord progression for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and it would just have that happy type of sound because it's in a major key as opposed to a minor key. So since we're in the key of C major, the scale that I'm going to be using is the C major scale. So guitar player number 1 is going to be using the full C major scale, the full 7-note C major scale, also known as the diatonic scale. Guitar player number 2 is just going to be using the C major pentatonic scale, which is just 5 of the 7 total notes of the full C major scale. So let's just look at some reference positions here. You're free to use the entire fretboard, but I always like to kind of have a few, spots to jump to in case I ever lose my spot. So pentatonic position number 1 is always the first spot I like to reference. So here's C major pentatonic position number 1. Here's your C, 8th fret, falls underneath your pinky. If I add in my additional notes, I have the C major scale or the C diatonic scale. So that's my 1 reference position. I also like to jump up to pentatonic position number 4 here. You can locate that by taking your pinky and putting it on the scale root, which is the note C, which is up here on the 15th fret. So here's pentatonic position number 4 for the key of C, C major. And then if I add in my additional notes, I have the C major scale or the C diatonic scale. All right, so those are my 2 reference positions. Then if I want to jump up here, I'm back at pentatonic position number 1 again. Adding in my diatonic notes. So those are my reference positions, but I'm free to use as much of the guitar as I want. It's all the same key. Guitar player number 1, diatonic. Guitar player number 2, pentatonic. Let's hear how that sounds. So that was lead guitar number 1 part. So the problem with using a looper is I can only record as much as the loop recording length is. So the loop recording length had each chord going around 4 times total. So the progression went around 4 times. So that was all I was able to record for lead guitar player number 1. The whole idea with live jamming is these things tend to develop, and the two guitar players tend to gel over time. So you need more than just 4 times around of the progression to really kind of understand this whole jiving, harmonizing two different pentatonic and diatonic scale going together idea. But hopefully this is enough just to give you an idea, just to hear the sound of it. So I'm now going to just solo over top of what I just recorded, and this is going to be guitar player number 2 playing just the pentatonic scale. So let's hear how this sounds. All right, so guitar player number 2, I just went full on pentatonic scale. Guitar player number 1 used other notes in addition to just the pentatonic scale notes. So that has a very Allman Brothers type of sound, if you ask me. So why don't both guitar players use full on diatonic scale? I mean, you can, but if you're improvising, if you're 100% improvising, then you're going to run into a better chance of conflicting notes. Even though everything's in the same key as one another, if both guitar players are improvising using the full 7-note diatonic scale, not to say that it can't work, but you're probably going to need to, have something composed. You're probably going to have your lead lines written out beforehand. But if you just want to go on a full jam session and two guitar players just want to completely improvise freely, in my opinion, this works pretty well, and you don't really have that whole conflicting note thing to worry about. Yes, you may have some notes that aren't supposed to go together, but the fact that guitar player number 1 is playing the full diatonic scale, full melodic stuff, doing all the melodic licks, all the melodic phrases and stuff like that, and guitar player number 2 is playing, the pentatonic stuff, the rock type of stuff, the rock licks, the pentatonic licks. For some reason, those two things just go together, and I can't quite describe it any better than Allman Brothers-esque. So that's what this video is about. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. Give it a shot. Have fun with it. See you next time.